Hey, legends, and welcome back. We are live in Austin at the Howler Hacienda. And this morning we had a great conversation with Rick Wittenbraker, who is the VP of Business Development for the Howler Brothers. This conversation was so rich and so potent with so much wisdom that he shared after his 11 years of being behind the scenes at the brand, working as the CMO and now in a VP role. He shares his leadership lessons, the journey behind building the brand, and how powerful it is to really know and build your character of who you are and what you stand for as a brand. So come with us for this amazing conversation.
It was sort of after our 10th anniversary. So we were having this big offsite of like, well, what do we want the next 10 years to be? And it's not just this, but we're painting all this stuff up on the whiteboard. And I'm like, man, I'm in, I'm buying, I'm long on all this, I'm bullish. But, you know, knowing how much that we wanted to do and where, you know, where this like growth trajectory that we want it to go and all the things that are going to require us to be there. And I was like, look, I think that I'm buying all this, but if I'm being real honest, my job is 10x and I only like a portion of it. Mm-hmm. And you do that, you know, that grid of like what you like and what you're good at. And you should always aim to be up here in this quadrant, but it had just been a diaspora. And so I was like, look, I think that and at least in our team, like, hey, of the stuff that I like and am good at, nobody else is really doing that. So I think, and we all, that's still an important sort of cluster of things for us, functions. And so I said, look, I think actually that I should focus on this stuff where I can best impact the business. And there's someone else out there who's really good at all this other stuff. And not just today, but for the next 5 years. And they're probably dying to do that for a brand like ours. Mm-hmm. And so I think we should go find whoever this is. And we did. We found a great guy. His name's Paul Graham. Now he's been here for a couple of years. And so for me, it was less about, I'm only telling you all this more for your information, but I'm not like, give me the tattoo that says CMO.
Right.
To me, it was like just being a part of the team and where can I
add
help
the most value.
Yeah, and like help the most as opposed to just sitting there and saying, well, this is my dominion and I'm in charge and I'll never give up this seat. I was like, well, I don't really care.
Was that hard?
And as a part, as a partner in the business, I like, well, I want what's best for the business. And so I'm like, no, it's actually super easy. The hardest part was convincing my partners. It took 3 meetings, for them. They were like, all right, just go sleep it off. We'll talk tomorrow. You're obviously exhausted.
Take some time off.
Yeah. And I was like, no, honestly, like I just didn't really, and it wasn't about that moment. It was more like looking ahead as we were planning all this stuff out and saying, okay, I don't know that I want to sign up for that. Or not even that, but like, I want to do the best that I can do, but I also want what's best for the business. And so they're not a full overlap on that.
There's this aspect of, I would say, like skill and passion. And if you have passion and no skill, you can expend a lot of energy and you'll probably make some progress just based on your energy.
Yeah.
And if you have skill but no passion, you're emptying a tank. Like it's like you're
filling the bucket, but there's a hole in the bottom, and so it's just going right.
The clock is counting down, kind of either burnout or disenfranchisement, whatever it is.
And so so since then, it was actually like this wonderful thing, and I'm Paul's biggest advocate. I'm his biggest fan and the one who I'm always like bugging him going, hey man, are you good? Like, can I help you? Not like, can I do it for you, but can I support you in any way? Or, if you're having trouble navigating something, like whatever it is. But if not, great, I'll leave you alone. I'm not trying to be in it. In fact, if anything, I'm probably more disconnected, not disconnected, but you know what I mean? Like less involved in the minutia than ever.
What were the kinds of things like in that growth trajectory where marketing shifted from what it was to what it is in the next phase? Like what are the kinds of things that you're noticing?
Well, I think, in the earlier years, in the early phase of any company, there's so much hustle involved, and it's like, I don't care what your title is. I don't care what your like designated responsibility is. We just got to get this stuff done. Mm-hmm. And so let's do that. But there was a lot of, hey, we need high caliber, or we want like high caliber execution or high caliber ideas on the marketing front. And that involves all things, including, creative, including the scientific side of it, the performance side of it, all the things. But we, despite being at, I'm going back 10, 11 years, like, despite being a much smaller business, we still wanted to punch above our weight class. Mm. And that was like, and we felt like it was something that was sort of, frankly, like that we were capable of, but also it was sort of baked into what we wanted to do and where we wanted to go. And so I think as things evolved though, and I always sort of make the example of like, okay, Google Analytics was, okay, Tuesday afternoons, I'm going to look at Google Analytics when we were 6 people. And then that's my regular occurring Tuesday afternoon task.
Right.
But then you keep growing and that becomes someone's full-time job.
Right.
And our performance in general becomes someone's like, oh no, we need someone in there, all the time, fine tuning all the little knobs. And it's really important and it moves the needle on the business. And so, but I don't love that stuff. Mm. And so I actually really love when you get something, whether it's like a project that turns into like a business unit or a thing like Google Analytics or performance, where it starts off as this little one of the many things, and then it blossoms into this big thing. Mm-hmm. And you're saying, okay, this is big enough. It merits someone who's really good at this. Here. So let's find a specialist who can come run with this instead of us like, doing a pretty good job with hustle. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Let's get someone who's really good. And that might be an outside agency, or it might be a full-time team member.
Or a combo or whatever.
Yeah, a combo. But I think that's where we had started to get. And so, and we've had a really awesome growth trajectory over the years. And so, but from the point, at least even when I started, which was not at the beginning, but a week from Monday will be 11 years.
Oh, nice.
And so but that point to today is extremely different, like vastly different as far as the size and the scope and all of the things we're doing. And back then we had, 5 people.
I was going to ask,
so it's us sitting around the room. I'm like, hey, are we good with this? Yeah. Okay, cool. We're moving on. There was no it wasn't a formal process or a formal, all this stuff. And so it was in some ways a lot easier because you're a lot more nimble, but the stakes are a lot lower. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're high for you as a partner, as an employee, but it's not like the numbers were not the scope was not as vast. Mm-hmm. But I think, so one of my favorite things is when, like I was saying, when a thing like that becomes big enough that you need to really formalize it and get someone who's really good at it. I think that instantly becomes this moment where you get to go and level up, because now instead of me just doing it, or whoever, like now we have a badass doing this who's kicking ass and knows all this stuff that we've never even heard of. And like, oh, sweet. We just unlocked all this stuff. So not only did we unlock this from sort of a growth perspective, but we now don't have to worry about this as much, or fret about it. And now he's over here doing this. We're great. We can actually reallocate our effort, bandwidth, or over our resources over on these other things that may need help now.
Putting the right people in the right seats. That's your 10x.
But as you grow, all that shifts. The seats shift and what the needs of each seat shift, and you add more seats. But yeah.
Can you take us back a little bit? And you've been here 11 years. Like, paint the picture for us. What did the brand look like 11 years ago?
In all honesty, it looked really similar. In some way, maybe less voluminous, less scope, but our founders, Chase, Hurd, Danny Stepanian, they really did an incredible job from conception of saying, hey, this is what we want it to be. This is here's the aesthetic, here's the vibe, here's what's important to us. Like really, really casting that. Even before they had ever launched. And so they really had this awesome vision for it. And they spent, a lot of time pre-launch. There's a lot that went into that. And a lot of that was, you can really easily launch, and today it's easier than ever to launch with just an idea, one graphic, and you can get tees and hats in 30 minutes on a site spun up and you're in business. But they said, we don't want to do that. We want to really develop a full line of clothing. We wanted to have original cut and sew pieces, not just putting our label on some existing, template. And so we want to go design all these items from the ground up, and they all had meaning. And all these little features and functionality, but also all the designs and the aesthetics all had real meaning. And so they spent more time and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and money getting to that point. So working through all this stuff to get to a point where they said, okay, we feel good about this. Let's go launch. And so this new brand came out, and it was like, it had all these things. It had shorts and board shorts and cut and sew shirts and short sleeve longs, like all this stuff. And it was like, whoa, because I remember when it launched, and Chase and I actually, a mutual friend introduced us a week or two after they launched. And the three of us went to lunch and we just hit it off as friends. But it was really impressive, because it wasn't just this logo on t-shirts, it was like, no, they had really thought. And even back then with a smaller range, like, man, you kept finding these little Easter eggs or these little threads of like, oh, that's really, it goes layers deper than.
It's super
so intentional.
Very intentional. Very.
You can feel that.
Yeah. And so in a lot of ways, you asked the question of flashing back 11 years, I would say that it was a lot of the same. Now, today we're much bigger. We make a lot more stuff. We have a lot more, items, products, SKUs in the line, and we do a lot more things on top of that. But the core of that is still really there, and it evolves over time. But like really, the core, and I think the important things of, hey, we are very design forward. We would rather not put it out than put out something that's maybe a little off or wrong, or, we have a high standard for ourselves in that regard. And so there's a lot of times where we'll go develop something, we as a team, really the design team, but like they develop something and we get it and we're looking at it and we say, man, this is really good, but it just doesn't yet have that little sparkle, that little bit of magic. And so it's not like throw it in the trash. It's more just, hey, let's give this another crank. Let's really think through this and let's revisit it. And how do we make it special? And we always use the term like, how do we make it howlery? How do we make it really pertain to us, come from us, so that when you see it in our store or online or whatever, you go, oh yeah, that's really got something.
Yeah,
and it's not just, oh, here's another blue shirt, here's another gray t-shirt. You know?
Yeah, I'm curious how you train that into the team. Like as you guys have grown and your lineup has grown, the SKUs have grown. You've got this interesting mashup of surf, Western, fish.
Yeah.
Like it's like
I just want to adventure being in here right now.
Yeah. Well, I love that you say that because, honestly, that's one of the things that we talk about a lot. And so even to the aesthetic of the shop is that we want it to be someplace where you want to hang out.
Yeah.
You want to hang out with the people who are also in there.
Totally.
Kind of thing. Oh, yeah. You want to go on a trip with them.
It's a good party trick. Just wear a Howler shirt. Yeah. Everyone will flock to you.
I think the two things for me that really come to mind are, one is really, and I think this goes for any company, is really working hard. And oftentimes it is difficult to really come and identify what your brand is. And a lot of people make the mistake of saying they misuse the word brand to apply to the company or even the product offering or God forbid the logo.
Yeah.
But really, I believe it's really like the personality, the character that you are sculpting here. Because, if we make pencils, we could be the pencil company that's really fun and happy, and we want everyone to write, do well, or we could be like this stern, solid-faced scientist that we're only focused on scientifically the best pencils, but there's not like a friendly thing. And so it really comes down to that personality. Is that? Oh, that's the little aroma mister thing.
Nice. Gonna skid it. What's the scent for the store?
It's custom.
Is it?
It would be.
You guys blend it?
Yeah.
Like
We don't blend it. We worked with this group that. Oh. And it was actually really cool.
Is it top secret?
Yeah. Well, it's not top secret, but it's like you couldn't just go.
This is the Howler way.
But we have like candles and air fresheners and stuff coming. Yeah.
See, that stuff's cool to me because so you're saying like, what is the brand? And similar to what you're saying about the apparel, like layers deep, right? The brand is the smell too. It's all
experience.
It's all a bit of like little bits of ingredients.
That's right. And I really think the best kind of easiest example is a really well written, well thought through character in a movie.
Yeah.
Because there's a way they look, but there's also a way they act and a way they talk and a way they interact with people
100%.
In a way that they do things. And, maybe they have a funny accent, or maybe they have a limp, or maybe they have this, whatever those things are, but they're all ingredients to make who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And I think done in the best way, brands should be doing something that really looks like that. And I think oftentimes, and look, I firmly believe that there's a lot of brand and the founders, there's a lot of overlap there. But there should be, for everyone's sanity, part of the brand that is not in the founder and part of the founder that is not in the brand. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about the character of your customer? Like how intimately you've gotten to know them?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, we have, I would argue some of the coolest, best customers out there. I don't mean that in the way because they're always on Instagram doing this rad stuff. I more mean it like who they are as people and how much that they bring and share back with us. And so we have these people who collect our embroidered shirts and they like have them saved like collectors, like in
They're
the
in
bag.
mint,
They're in like little specific with their own little drawers and stuff.
Wow.
And as soon as we launch a new one, like they're buying one. A lot of times they'll buy two, like one to save and one to wear.
Wow.
But it's even
amazing.
beyond that. I think it's like one of my favorite things is when they reach out of their own. We're not even asking them. They just reach out to us. A lot of times customer service and tell us these stories. It's like, oh, I had to get married in one of your shirts, or I was wearing one of your board shorts and caught the best wave of my life, or it's all those things that it's very personal to them. It means the world to them, and for them to come back and tell us that we've had this impact. And at the end of the day, we make clothes. We're not saving lives. We're not, doing anything miraculous, but the way it made them feel, and it made them like brighten up so much that they wanted to come back and tell us.
Mm-hmm. You're a part of that experience.
Yeah. And so I think that's a really cool and fun thing. And it's, we love it. And it's something that we love sharing when those stories come in and we share them. And so, on internal meetings, we, like our all hands meetings, we always have like the customer of the week. And then we'll have, any of those stories that come in, we have a whole like Slack thread dedicated to all the, just those cool things.
Yeah. I think that kind of stuff keeps people pointed in the same direction. Like this is what, at least internally, like, hey, this is why we're doing this. This is the, it's like inspiring. You said, you're not saving lives, but it is inspiring.
It's inspiring. It's inspiring
to connect us.
And so you're like, okay, I'm not saving lives. We're not curing cancer, but man,
you're a part of something.
It really impacted someone. And so that's fun. And so I want to do a good job. I want to make the next one just as great.
I'd like to come back to that idea you're talking about of the brand sort of being a character. And like, I love the notion of like, you should be thinking about yourself as in a movie, or like your brand is in a movie. It has to have that sort of like continuity of motivation and action and reaction and those kinds of things. I think it's like one of the things that, especially as brands get bigger, they lose that thread of like, actually, who are we and what are we doing? Why are we doing?
Yeah.
So talk to us about the tagline, heed the call. I assume that's like a big part of the character of the brand. Like maybe you could unpack it for us a little bit.
So on the brand side, in really identifying that, I think it's such a killer opportunity for any company to go through this. And it can be hard at times, but the better you can define that and crystallize it, and also what we are not over here, how we do not act, that not list, I think is like maybe more important. It actually is maybe more defining. It's the outer boundary. And so it's actually more defining of what is on the inside. But it's super important. And I think what happens is when you do that well, you hire new team members, and it becomes all that much better and easier for them, even before they apply for the job, to understand who is this, what is the brand of this company, and is this something that I want to be involved in? Is this something that I feel like I could go, that I should partake in? But I think, it just opens you up to all this opportunity. And I think one really cool thing is when people, look, we're all individuals and we all do things differently. I do something differently than you might, but we can still all be within the guidelines of how we operate as a company. But if you think about it almost as like an actor getting into that character, so okay, I'm going to go get into character. So when I respond, or I write this copy, or I'm, working on this content, or I'm designing this article, then it's really coming from the POV of the brand character and not me. Now, I'm going to bring influence into that. Two different actors play the same character, two different ways, but really it's about the character. And then how do we line up all those things to go forward?
It's powerful.
But what was the second part of that you asked?
Heed the call.
Okay, so our tagline, Heed the Call, is actually also another one of my favorite things. And Chase and Andy came up with that from the onset. And so it was really, and it was, even the first time I saw it, just as a fan and a customer, it really resonated with me, because for me, it's this, it's a real, like, it's very motivational. It's very aspirational. And it's also, and I think in a little healthy way, a little bit of a challenge to go, hey, don't just sit back, but like go do it.
100%.
And so for me, that's exciting. And I think it's inspiring, or can be inspiring to people. And, you know, as we have grown and you have more team and you have bigger audience, you have to almost keep refining. It's almost like mending the fence to continue defining what you are. But I think that Heed the Call, and we've really sort of embraced the notion that it's not, we might depict surfing all the time. You may not like surfing, but that's okay. That's what we're showing, and one of the many things we love. But heed your call, and your call might be something totally different. And so I think that's really where we get to, is embrace your call, go do it, but have fun along the way. You know?
Yeah, it's so good. Like, I nerd out on like the psychology of story and that kind of thing. It's like one of my like just areas of passion.
Yeah,
I think that call to adventure is a universal like bell ring. Like when if you read it, or if you understand it, if you like, at some point in your life you do get that chime where you're like, I have to go.
You gotta listen.
I have to follow that thing. So to be like a brand that's there, that's sort of your charge, like, hey, go do it. Just go do it. Like go on that like backpacking adventure. Go on that fishing trip. Go on the surf trip with your buddies. Go do the thing that you know you want to do it. You know that there's that part of your spirit that's calling you to go do it. I think it's cool. It's a cool position for a brand. It's actually quite an intimate position for a brand to be in, for a customer to be like, I don't want to put too much into it, but you are kind of, you are having a catalyst sort of role to play there. It's neat.
And I think as a brand, at least the way we view it, is not just like we're telling you to go do this, like lecturing you.
No, it's inspiring. You're inspiring.
But we're also saying, like, come on, come with us. We're going on this call. We're eating, like, come with us. That's, I think, our perspective on that as well, because we're, you know, we want people, and it doesn't have to be the same destination, but come on, let's go.
Right. Well, and as a brand, you're there with them. Like you're there wearing your gear. They're out there rocking their Howler shirt or whatever they're doing.
Rick, you play the role as a mentor to many aspiring brand leaders, and I'm curious what you hear from them, like their struggles, their challenges. Maybe you can share with us what would be your advice for someone who's either just getting started in their career or starting a new product.
That's a really great question. You know, when I honestly, like, I'll go back to what I said a minute ago. I think so many times, founders, entrepreneurs, they've been working so hard, and in their head, they've been doing this for years, maybe
lifetimes.
Forever, and just toiling over this for so much energy, that when they're so excited to launch, you know, and get their idea, their product out there, or whatever it is. And that's fantastic. But I really, really think it is worth the investment of time and energy to go figure out that brand. Because if you don't, it's the first thing people are going to ask you is like, well, what do you think about this? Or how do y'all fit into this landscape? Or how do you respond to this? Or how do you interact with these people? And so if you don't have that figured out, like really figured out, you're just saying, oh, well, I'll go do the work tomorrow. But I think if you go do the work today, and to figure that out, it makes all these decisions so much easier.
Figuring out what you stand for.
Yeah. And it becomes, like we were talking about a minute ago, you know, it really becomes this guidebook for all new team members, any outside parties you work with,
Totally.
and even your audience. They have a better understanding of who you are if you've presented that.
If you don't have a brand playbook to pass to someone, you'll always be the one in the seat of figuring it out every day.
Or they're sitting there going, okay, my task today is to, I don't know, write this copy, and they're going to be off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, it takes a while to really learn and get into character, but I think the more you can go to find that, it's easier for people to say, okay, cool, I'm going to go get into character.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get in the POV of the brand, and that's where I'm writing this copy from, or whatever the task at hand is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it is an investment. Sometimes it's painful, especially when you have, lots of people around the table. But man, when you can go figure that out and get some clarity on that, it actually unlocks so much going forward.
Yeah.
So know who you are and know what you stand for.
Yeah.
Know who you're not. I can't help but notice there's no women's clothing in here, which I respect.
That's not necessarily indicative of a brand decision. That's more of like, we actually have a whole, we did make women's for a while early on. It was a smaller collection, but we did. It's something we would love to bring back. We do not want to do it in a half-assed way. We want to give it all of the attention and intention that we give our men's stuff. And so we say, hey, we would rather wait until we get that figured out and really understand like our point of view of this may be a sister brand, a sibling to what we're doing today. It may not be under the same label. Maybe, but we just want to do it. We don't want to mess it up.
Yeah.
And so we would rather do that than like kind of throw out some things.
I love that. It's so intentional.
Yeah. And I think while that's limiting in a lot of ways, and it is more intentional, but I will say one of my absolute favorite things is the women who work on our team and sort of in our extended circle of friends and customers, like the way that they make our stuff their own is so cool. And I don't mean just wearing the same shirt. It's like they might have it tailored, they might crop it off, they might do all these things. And it's one of my absolute favorite things that not only that they do that and they sort of bring that as a personal expression, but that they know us and feel comfortable enough to like, yeah, I'm going to go chop this shirt off, or I'm going to go change it, but that's okay. And I'm empowered to do that.
I love it.
It's one of my absolute favorite things. And we don't see it enough, but all of the women on the team have their own cool way of doing that.
That's awesome.
Amazing. So good. Well, I'll stand by. I'll get a hat though. I can rock the hat.
Yeah.
I promise it's not
It's coming.
It's not overlooked, and it's not from a lack of like caring. If anything, we just don't want to screw it up.
I love it. Well, it's a whole vibe in here. It's been so fun to come in and
and
connect
it's
with
quiet.
you.
Usually we got music going, and
It's amazing. The Howler Hacienda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of our themes for 2025 at the gathering is winning the future together.
Ooh,
And
cool.
so I'm curious when I say that, how does that resonate for you? What do you think it looks like to win the future?
Winning the future together. And do you all, I mean, together, is that a broad term? Or
How do you interpret it?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
the question.
Okay. Well, it's interesting because I think like we tend to view everything together already. That's why it's brothers plural. It's not a singular, look what I did. It's not about me, it's about we. And so that factors into everything we do. From the stuff we make, our content, to the way we work and the way we, our teams. And so that really like is already something that's super interwoven in our company and business and brand. But I think I love that because I think it's coming from a place of abundance and not scarcity. And so like, hell yes, we can work together.
There's room for all of us.
We do a lot of collaborations with other brands or causes or people. And so for us, it's always been about throwing a party. And if the party is just you, it's not a party. It's just you jamming out in your room, But if the minute you get other people in, it changes the DNA of the whole party. And so that really is, we're always pro party. We want it to be all these other people coming in, and that makes for an awesome night or an awesome event or a great dinner party is when you have these different viewpoints and his, experiences and things that can add to the mix.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Room for all of us.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Man, we went over time.
Way over time. We could talk to you for so long.
We could keep going, but
I don't wear a watch, so I don't ever know.
This is great.